So today we're going to do a drawing of a pair of eyes, and I wanted to draw some eyes together but give it some sort of a location, way that it looks, or that sort of a thing. So hopefully that's what we're planning to do today. We also already had some instruction how to draw the eyes. We're going to do a front view of two eyes together on that. So let's go ahead and start with that. Usually I kind of like to at least map out a little bit where things are going to go, and usually you're going to find that the distance between the eyes is about one eye width. We're going to map out the face a little bit later, and so that will be of help or assistance to us when we start doing that. So if this is the width of an eye, and then this is the width between the eyes, and then this is the width of the other eye. On the sides, it kind of depends on here. Sometimes it goes another full eye width on each side, but then sometimes that gets cut in a little bit as well as we start looking at things. But that'll do for what we're looking for now. Then we need to draw the eyes. Things that we've talked about before on that is the upper eyelid. A lot of times is the first area we draw. And so upper eyelid, lower eyelid, we'll kind of do them together on that. Upper eyelid, lower eyelid. Kind of look like a couple of lemons that just kind of fell and got squished or something like that. Anyway, and so that's the first part we talked about, right? And then we need to, I'm kind of blocking things in first. Iris, or no, pupil, that's what this thing is called. Get those pupils in there. And they take about half the space, touching the upper eyelid. A little bit of one pupil more dilated than the other. Then we're going to go and get the iris. I know what you're saying. You're saying you forgot the catch light. I know. I'll get it in there in just a second. And the iris is touching or very near the bottom of the eye on that. Catch lights. Let's put one right here. And this one needs to be on the same relative side. What I mean by that is if they're on the left side, they need to be on the left side. If they're on the right side, they need to be on the right side. Not if they're in the center, they need to both be in the center. That would make it really weird. That's okay. So we got the catch light in there. Now I can come in and start putting a little bit of value in for the pupil over here. And I'm going to be doing this a little bit quicker and to get the idea down, and then going back and maybe tightening up some of the detail as we go along. Or not. Good questions all. So the pupil. I need some vertical lines and some horizontal lines. That a lot of times will fill things in. And of course our diagonal lines. Always good. I'm trying to make my pupil somewhat similar. And then we're going to put in the radial part of the iris. And it is darker towards the outer edge of the iris. So this is, in essence, a little bit of a review, but if you remember when you're drawing the eyes, and draw them the same way every time, and then also this gives you something to look for when you're working from a reference. I'm just working from ahead on this one. Normally I like to have a reference, so I kind of know what I'm doing, but that is not the case in this one here. We're going to make this, we need to make that little tear duct thing come in here, right? Let's go for this part over here. That crease that is above the eye. I've got to turn this a little sideways. eyelashes. I like to kind of start them over here so that they're going to the side a little bit first before I come in and do craziness right in the middle, because the middle is just kind of up and down. And then once it starts going to the side a little bit, you start seeing them a little bit more and what it is they're doing. Eyelashes. So this one is just kind of a up and down. Now that we're over here, we can start having this come out to the side a little bit more, dipping down and then coming back out. And then we're going to do some eyebrows. Now, in this assignment, this was the easy part, trying to figure out how to, get the eyes in on that one. But I wanted to put some other things in there too. I'm trying to make sure I'm starting these at the same height. I wanted to kind of highlight the eyes a little bit, and then by putting some sort of a frame around them, for lack of a better term, to make a whole drawing, to make that a little bit more interesting. Now we do have, usually there's a little bit of area here beside the nose on that, but this is not, this is more just of a darker area. So this is just putting some hatching and cross hatching, a little bit of shadow stuff. We can blend that as well if you want, with the smudgy. Sometimes it becomes a little bit of a hard line, but I like to still keep this area in here, that is. I like to keep it still a soft line with those, so you can have it looks a little more natural, because this area right here is rounded, and since this area is rounded, it's helpful to have a softer edge. Let's see, I'm just going to do this just because I'm usually not much of a smudger man, but on occasion. And then over here, let's say we have that. So I have my eyes sitting here in this thing. Now the rest of the space, I need to fill it up with something that is going to focus our attention here on the eyes. So building a frame. So I mentioned in some of the instructions, the written instructions that we had, you might have somebody looking through the hedge, so I could draw some leaves and all sorts of leaves around here, so that's something peeking through the hedge on that. The one I think I wanted to do is I was going to do kind of locks of hair coming on that. And so locks of hair, they do travel in locks, and so they have a place where they're sharp, and then there's texture between them, and then we're going to surround the eyes with those locks of hair. And hair is kind of interesting because it's the dark spots or parts are always the betweeners between the locks of hair. Okay, let's take normally you're not going to see this sort of a thing happen naturally unless somebody has extremely long flowing hair. So these are more just some textural lines coming out here. And then let's and so I can put these darker lines. Let's get some texture. Oh, that's coming along splendidly. Let's take some hair this way too. This is going to kind of come off the side of the page. So we can have overlapping sort of things too. Let's do like I said, long flowing hair. Long flowing hair. I'm going to block this in with some rougher textures initially. This needed to be just a little bit closer. I had a big gap right there. Now, whatever you plan out, maybe we brainstorm for a second other things, or you might find, you know, some sort of surrounded eyes. One that pretty common I see a lot. Doesn't make it necessarily bad, but a lot of times the old jail cell ploy, I guess if we're in currently in isolation, maybe that's more appropriate now than not, huh? Because we feel like we're imprisoned or something like that. So the eyes looking through, and then maybe the little cell thing right there, and then having the bars coming, a bar coming across and bars coming down, and that sort of a thing. That might be a natural sort of a thing for the way we're feeling these days, huh? With that sort of a thing. What other might be? I suppose you could do somebody looking over a fence, but then you have the problem of you know, well, what to be doing with the top part on those as well. You know, you have the top part of that particular picture. What would you be doing with that? On that. The one I didn't want is like a ski mask or something like that. What about a mail slot, like in a door or something? You have a mail slot in there, and somebody peeking through the mail slot might be a way of doing that. Let's see. What we let's take some more flowing hairs this way. This one I wanted to get enough information so you can kind of at least see the idea. Before I finish, we'll probably leave it off before, but you're starting to see how that these things are centered in there, surrounded by the long flowing locks. This would come over here, but I feel the whole, would want to fill the whole of the page in as well. What about somebody wearing like a winter coat or something like that with a furry you know, things surrounding their head or something. Maybe that would be a another way of doing this particular type of a thing. And what about there are some traditional costumes that have that same sort of a look. Those would be probably more interesting than the ski mask on those. I suppose you could do like the doctor's, you know, mask and the surgeon's hat or something like that. As you start to work through, that might be an idea. And so here with it, I mean, you could use this one too. I don't own this corner on the market on that sort of a thing. Lots of people can do that sort of a thing. Let's see, let's make this one a little bit bigger coming across this way too. And so this is, we'll finish this drawing up, but that's the idea that I want. I want the eyes, I'm doing just this part of the face with those. We can come back down here too. We might get maybe part of the nose in here a little bit, huh? And maybe there's some more shadow area over here too as we're starting to draw the face. I haven't finished up the hair by any means, but these are some things that you might start seeing a little bit more, right? There was a little bit of shadow. This area comes in as a little narrower here. The nose is a little broader. We'll cover noses next, actually, on our drawing techniques. I need just a little bit of a hair coming off that one. And so this, we'll go ahead and finish this up in a little bit, but that's probably enough to get started so you can kind of see what it is I'm looking for on this drawing. Is somewhere we're just focusing the attention on the eyes. You don't see the rest of the face. We don't have to worry about the different other parts of the face on that, the nose, the mouth, that sort of a thing, ears, none of that. I just wanted us to be focusing on the eyes. And so this picture by surrounding here brings everybody's attention in here to the eyes on this particular drawing. And that's it. That's what I'm looking for. And then, of course, finish it on that. And good luck. I look forward to seeing your drawings. Thank you.